I just love making homemade pizza. I've got some great sauce recipes that I love to can up, which we've shared with you already. So now I'm going to share my dough recipe. To make this pizza dough, you want to start with 2 teaspoons of yeast, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 cup of really warm water. You don't want it to be so hot that it's going to kill the yeast, but you want it to be warm enough to activate it. I then like to give it just a little stir to mix everything together. And then I'll let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes until that yeast is activated. Now that our yeast is all nice and frothy, it's time to add the rest of the ingredients. First, we'll add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I've also done this with grapeseed oil, and that was good too, but olive oil is probably my preferred. And then we do 3 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of salt, which I just kind of sprinkle over the entire top of the flour there. Now I'll take this to the mixer and be right back. Now our dough is all done, and we're going to put it in a bowl, and I will cover it and put it in a nice warm place for about half an hour to an hour. Our pizza dough has finished rising. It's nice and light and fluffy, so this should make some great dough. I don't like my pizza dough to be too thick, or I feel like you can't taste anything else, but I don't like it to be too thin either because, well, I like the pizza dough. So then what I do is I'll cut it in half. This should make 2 pizzas. I have to admit, when I make it for the family, we make, I probably do about 6 batches of this. And then that top tends to have just a little bit of crust on it. So I just kind of roll the top to the inside so that I have the smooth outside instead of this crusty stuff that ends up getting on the top. Now if you get your towel moist, it can reduce that, but it gets absorbed pretty quickly into the dough itself. It's not a big deal, as long as you make sure that it goes on the inside. Okay, so now we have our 2 dough balls here. I'm going to actually set the one off to the side. And then you just roll out from the center. And I like to get it pretty thin because as it cooks, it's going to rise. So even though I like a thicker dough or a thicker crust, it's important that it be thin at this point. You can make it any shape that you want. I've done fish shapes with the kids. It's actually, that's really fun with little kids, is just to take it and to make it into some kind of a picture. You know, we'd do like a fish shape, and then we'd use pepperoni and olives to make the eyes. I mean, just super cute stuff that you can do with kiddos. And then sometimes I like to flip it over. I feel like it has more elasticity when you do that. And you'll never have it a perfect circle this way. You can usually kind of just work with it and get a good shape. Really, making homemade pizza dough, homemade anything from scratch, you know, there's benefits to it. 1, it's less expensive. 2, you know exactly what's in your food. And 3, you know, all it requires is a little bit of forethought. I guess that's the hard thing, is that forethought at times. So much better for you though. Sometimes I'll even put a little bit of our home ground flour into this so that it's even a little bit healthier. And then this one was all wonky, so you pick it up, flip it over, and then you should be able to just kind of shape it with your hands into roughly a circle. So you'll go ahead and put your sauces on it. You'll put your toppings on it. There's multiple different kinds that you can do. Keep an eye out, because in a couple of days I'll be putting out my how to use your canned pizza sauce, and I'll be showing how to actually put together a pizza, put together a calzone, and actually use this dough. But at this point, if you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and put your toppings on and cook it at 450 degrees for 15 minutes. It's a little bit longer if you decide to do a calzone out of it.